And there are two types of insects, one that are beneficial and one those are bad for the crop. But if you are going to use pesticide, you are going to kill all of them. So what happens is that you break the natural cycle, right? There are some insects that are beneficial for agriculture itself. But let's say, butterflies. Would you kill them because they help in the pollination? But if you're going to use, or honeybees, right? They are all very, very useful insects. But the minute you start using pesticide, you kill the destructive ones, but you also kill the.
So then how we will control the pest?
So now,
Nitrogen fixing organic.
now we don't call them pesticides, but there are certain types of oils that are used as natural pesticides. One that I am aware of is
Castor oil.
Castor, garlic, oils. So if you spray them,
Gomutra also.
okay? If you spray them on the plants, they have the same kind of effect that the pesticide has.
But then why these are not used if people
Okay.
Even these are good pesticides also. Even they kill the good pesticides.
No,
These
They
one,
don't.
no,
Only
no,
kill
not
the
at all.
bad ones.
they don't. They only kill the bad ones.
So what is the difference between pesticide and insecticide?
They come into the same family of control. That's all. Pests and insects, they're more or less the same. Some of them are in the form of bacteria. Some of them are form of insects. Okay. So,
Butterflies have become insects.
one of the things is that not all insects are bad. But if you go into the process of using, you are going to kill everyone, and then you are going to create that process, which means that you will always have to now depend on pesticides continuously. Getting out. Natural cycle of growth is what we are looking at, right? Less production initially if you go for organic food, then there is going to be less production. And as your cycle of production continues, the fertility of the soil begins to increase,
So,
right?
I have one question. So, when initially this land was taken, was it taken with the mindset that it would be done for, it would be used for cultivation?
Okay, this whole land, 117 acres, was an agricultural land. Okay, and most of the land was owned by the people from the village.
That, sir, I'm asking because if we know that this land is suitable for cultivation, and if I have a land that is not suitable for cultivation, can I make it suitable for cultivation?
See, actually now we have to go into the process. For example, as cities grow,
But take example.
more and more land which is agriculture has to come and become part of the city, right? So even land that is good, for example, this may be a good agricultural land, but because the city is growing, this agricultural land has to become part of the city's growth, right? And it is possible that there may be some land area which is not fertile where the city can grow, which is what now Modi is saying, that let's develop 100 smart cities which don't have to be existing cities, that need to be different. Maybe fertility of the land is not that high. So it's possible to do that. But originally, yes, and I think this is a very fertile land. It would be perfect for agriculture.
Very perfect.
But all this land was taken over by the government as part of the development process. So what we are doing is just because the land is not being used right now, so we converted into a nursery, not for commercial cultivation. Otherwise, we could have planted the whole.
Then, sir, even a barren land can be, you know, some treatment can be done on it and it can be used for cultivation.
Yes, yes.
So where does these
I'll give you an example of, I come from a village, so I've seen how it happens. For example, if you have a barren land area which is not fit for agriculture, what we used to do is that you know these haystacks, right? So we would create that area, fill it with water, and put all the haystacks in it, right? And we would let them rot for one cycle, and then redo the same thing, cultivate it, put the hay again, fill it with water, and in 3, 4, 5 years, that land, all of a sudden you'll see that grass is growing now slowly.
Yeah.
Now you know that the fertility
Is increased.
is increasing, and lot of land which was not previously as agricultural land has now become agricultural land because of that process. So it is possible, but it's a time-consuming process, right? So that's the reason why you have less productivity initially, and that's where the argument that is being made now is that since we have limited amount of land, we have increasing population, we have less productivity from organic food, we can double, triple the productivity from
But that's short term.
that. See, that's a choice that we as a society have to make. Right? And that's the reason I told you in the class that there is no right answer to this. It's a choice that you make as a society. What is more important? Right? So you need to make that decision. What is more important? Do you want a short-term solution and feed everyone? Which is what companies like Monsanto are saying. That there are people who are dying in this country. Look at Africa. Children die. Why can't we go for this kind of agricultural production that increases the productivity by 5 times, and therefore we are able to feed all the poor and
But
hungry?
then you're giving them poison as well.
Well, that's another point of view, right? So if in this class itself, if we say that, okay, take a stand now,
So, but then at the same time, if the production will decrease, the rates would increase.
Again,
For the first 3 years, the
starvation.
rate would decrease. Increase starvation.
The starvation.
Later on, the same situation will obviously come up.
Prices will rise.
Today or tomorrow, the
Situation will be the
You should go for short-term pain and long-term gain.
So you said the poison is like it occurs slowly. So how slow the process? It's inside out.
well, see, all that we know right now is that it has adverse effect on health. Now, we are not able to say how much and when does it have an impact. It's very similar to saying that, if you consume alcohol, then it is bad for your health. But we don't know how bad and when it is going to hit, right? But science does indicate to us that it has very harmful effects. Right? Now we don't know how fast, because it can differ from person to person because everybody's immune system is very different, right? And from region to region it can. If you look at people who visit from the US or something, वो एक glass पानी पी लेते बीमार हो जाते हैं, right? We can drink any water from anywhere, हमें कुछ नहीं होता, right? Because our immune system is developed. It has become resistant to these kind of things. But they come here and they fall flat once. Right?
So what would be the ratio of organic farming and non-organic farming in India?
Well, India now it is increasing, but it's not that high. But for example, in the US and all, it is more than 70 to 90%.
Organic?
Inorganic.
Inorganic.
Right? Okay, the genetically modified is that much. In India, a lot of cotton growing is now what we call as BT cotton. Right? That's there. Now, what research has shown, for example, in the case of BT cotton in India itself, right? There are 2-3 things that have happened, and one of the things that has happened is that there is now some scientific evidence that a lot of skin allergies that are being caused are because of BT cotton, because you're using that cotton to produce clothes, and we are wearing them. So a lot of allergies related to skin are now being connected to BT cotton. Okay. Now, we don't know exactly if that it is, but the research is indicating towards that direction. So what we are trying to say is that you may have a lot of advantages of doing it, but at the same time you have a lot of disadvantages of having genetically modified crops. And as a society, we need to make the choice. Do we want it or we don't want it? Right? Now, for example, let's say now, because of genetically engineered food, we have higher variety, lower cost. You go to a shop and you say you want organic, all of a sudden the price becomes very high, right? Why? It's organically grown. Why is it that organically grown food is more expensive?
Less
Because
production.
it's
Less production.
more
Less supply.
more labor.
Less supply. More of
Costly.
All right, so let's have Faz come this side. I don't know the exact term. It is a technical term.
Oh, it's called DQ.
All right, can we be quiet because hello? Yeah. So Faz, given the facts that we know right now, the pluses and minuses, what's your stand and why?
As they said that if we go with the organic method, it is going to take a lot of time for the soil to offer rich fertility. So the question is first that for that period of 2 to 3 years, how are you going to feed the dense population that we have in India? Also, one thing I also had as a doubt was when you said that a natural process of turning a barren land into a fertile land is by keeping haystack and water, and that it takes a span of 5 years. My question is, why cannot technology come up to something that the impact that is naturally happening on these barren lands can be genetically engineered, and we use technology in that direction and make these land fertile much more earlier than the natural process. So for time being, we can take care of those that span, which you said that it takes 2 to 3 years for land to get fertile, to offer rich fertility. We can do that naturally, technically instead of naturally. And so by this we can turn a good volume or good area of land which is barren into fertile. And for now, since it's an alarming situation, all we have to proceed with is technological or